Luckily, the political ceiling over the years has changed a lot. My experience has not been that great in the political arena. I come from a family of very politically minded folks in East Los Angeles. My uncle, Leopoldo Sanchez, was a lawyer, and he ran and won for municipal court judge when it was in the 1960s, when it wasn't very, there weren't any Latino men, there weren't any Latino judges, and he ran and won, and eventually got nominated up to Superior Court by Governor Edmund Brown. So I was raised basically with my grandparents and around that type of situation with my uncles, and very politically minded. Although once I got into the workforce, I saw there was not really good chances for women. And I worked in banking for a while. My first job was at Black & Decker Manufacturers, where I was a biller. I was there for a year, moved to Union Bank, and I was moved up within 5 years to supervisor. Took over a position that a man had who was he was an assistant cashier. I was put into his position as a supervisor when he got terminated, but I never made the money or the prestige that he had. I was offered another position at another bank, and I worked there for a year. Although it was more money, it was not, it was as the secretary to the loan officer. So there was no movement up in that field. It was Union Bank that I started with, and it was the Bank of California I ended up with. And after that, I moved on to working in the healthcare field. It was a fluke because I was reading the newspaper and saw that there was a position for training bilingual assistant clinic people, and it was starting like at $1.79 with training. So I thought, geez, I've always cared a lot about the medical field. And let me just read to you what I've written here. In 1970, I began working as a union member at Kaiser Permanente in the Department of Social Medicine. As a bilingual clerical assistant in the department to the department manager, public health nurses, social workers, and home health doctors. Working with these wonderful professionals encouraged me to return to school and elevate my position. As a union employee, I was able to afford my tuition and books, which were reimbursed to me after completing my courses with passing grades. I quickly became a coordinator of several public health care teaching programs to their diabetic classes, expectant parents class programs, breathing easier classes, women's series, and vasectomy classes, which was my favorite.
Thank you.
It was unique. On occasion, I would assist on making home visits to bilingual patients in their homes or at the hospitals for new baby or diabetic interpreting purposes. I worked in the department until 1987, when I transferred to our newly built Woodland Hills facility in the home health department as a medical secretary and coordinating of medical durable equipment. 9 months later, I transferred to the Kaiser Granada Hills Medical Clinic as secretary and assistant to the clinic administrator. At that time, I had to utilize my union assistants to help me deal with a disturbing conflict with my supervisor. I won't go into all those details. Fortunately, I persevered, and after a year, was able to transfer to the mental health department in Van Nuys as a medical secretary. I really needed mental health by that time. I quickly became the lead medical secretary and soon after a clerical supervisor. After the 1994 earthquake, several of our outlying clinics were demolished and the departments of mental health and chemical dependency were reorganized at one location in Reseda as the behavioral health department. I was then elevated to assistant department manager and helped manage a department of close to 100 combined medical and mental health professionals and ancillary staff. Later, when the Santa Clarita offices opened, I was made part-time supervisor of that facility in addition to my regular duties in Reseda. As Santa Clarita grew, the clinic grew there. I moved to managing there full-time until I retired in November of 2009. I have worked over 55 years total before my retirement in 2009. I have been a caregiver to my first spouse who suffered from asbestos exposure and died in 2001, and then to my disabled mother who lived with me until her passing last June. In June of 2009, I remarried a wonderful man. My bridegroom, Mr. Donald Reeds, is here. Would you like to?
No.
Thank you,
that's all right.
Because of him, I now have time and energy to give back to my community in various voluntary capacities, one of which is as a docent at the Placerita Nature Center for the past 5 years, of which we are now both docents. We are looking forward to helping and working with the homeless shelter, which is now closed as of the 15th of March, in addition to soon signing up for the delivery of meals to Santa Clarita homebound seniors. I am one of 6 elected women delegates of the 38th Democratic District of California, and I'm excited with this new position, and I'm learning a lot and putting everything I can into this. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
We're gonna ask your questions at the very end.
Okay.